Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And boy, President Donald Trump is going after prosecutorial prejudice and redemption against New York Attorney General Letitia James. She has just been indicted and charged with bank fraud charges and making false statements to a financial institution, which ironically and hypocritically are the same charges that New York Attorney General Letitia James went after Trump several years ago, and Trump's case got dropped. And now, as I said, he's going after prosecutorial redemption against Attorney General Letitia James. Now it's her turn. She picked a fight against President Donald Trump, and it looks like she lost the first battle, and now she is in the criminal web of being charged with bank fraud. So let's get into the story. We also know that President Trump, as I said, is going after other folks. James Comey has been indicted also, and Trump is on a rampage to go after the people that went after him, whether it's right or wrong. So what do we know about the charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James? This is really a big deal. The New York Attorney General is a huge position for anyone, let alone a black female. So where are we at? So what do we know about the charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James? New York Attorney Letitia James has been criminally indicted on federal bank charges over a property she purchased in Virginia. So I did a story on it previously, and for those who have not kept up with the story or didn't see my last video, let's go into what has got us or got her to this helm now. U.S. President Donald Trump has pushed his officials to legally pursue New York Attorney General Letitia James, among other political opponents of his. Attorney Letitia James denies any wrongdoing, calling the case a desperate weaponization of our justice system. A similar accusation was made against her by Trump and his allies when James won a civil fraud case against him back in 2023. So the same charges that she's being charged with, or the same allegations she's being charged with, is what she went after President Trump back a few years ago. Here's what we know about the case against James and a recap of the one she led against Trump. What has New York Attorney General Letitia James been charged with? The U.S. Department of Justice says James has been charged with bank fraud and making false statements to a financial institution. The charges relate to James's 3-bedroom property in Norfolk, Virginia. So she allegedly, as the New York Attorney General, she has to have a primary permanent residence in New York. That's for all U.S. Attorney Generals of each state. However, she has this property in Norfolk, Virginia, that she is claiming is her second residence or second primary residence where she is also living. Well, she can't live in Virginia and be the New York Attorney General. Prosecutors allege she secured a mortgage claiming a property as her secondary residence in Norfolk, Virginia, while her primary residence was in Brooklyn, New York. Instead, She rented out the property to a family of three. The Norfolk, Virginia property, she rented it out as rental property. And that's where we get into this allegation of false claims on these bank statements with her. Rental property versus your primary residence property. The interest rates are different. The loan documents are different. And this is where she is getting caught up in this web. The prosecution alleges that James was required to occupy and use the property as her secondary residence, not as rental investment property, in order to secure a favorable loan. Prosecutors allege she saved $18,933 through this misrepresentation, including by securing a lower interest rate. No one is above the law, the U.S. Department of Justice Attorney Lindsay Halligan said in a statement. James has previously said she made an error while filling out the paperwork for the property, which was then corrected. She has called the charges baseless and has taken aim directly at Trump. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General, she said. James's attorney, Abe Lowell, later said she would fight these charges in every process allowed in the law. Lowell added, we are deeply concerned that this case is driven by President Trump's desire for revenge. Well, that's a human characteristic in everybody. If somebody has done something to you, many times we want to commit retribution and do the same thing, if not worse things, to that person that committed harm against you. What else is Trump pursuing, and what's the background? Legal action against James had been expected after Trump named her in a list of political opponents he wanted his administration to legally pursue. He said, "We cannot delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility," the president wrote last month on Truth Social. "They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times, he said of those opponents. Former FBI Director James Comey and Democratic Senator Adam Schiff were also mentioned in Trump's post. Within a few days, Mr. Comey was charged with making false statements to lawmakers and obstructing a congressional proceeding. He has pleaded not guilty. The bank fraud case against James was floated publicly back in April, when a letter was penned by the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, FHFA, was obtained by the U.S. media. It said the FHFA made a criminal referral to the Justice Department, alleging James had falsified her bank and property records. Trump's case hit a bump when the lawyer overseeing the federal prosecutions in the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert, he resigned back in September. So Trump's case hit a bump back then. Although Siebert did not provide a reason for quitting, Trump said he was fired after he said that they did not have a case against attorney Letitia James. Trump appointed to the position his former personal lawyer, Lindsay Halligan, who is accused by James of being blindly loyal not to the law, but to President Trump. Attorney Letitia James launched a civil fraud case against Trump and his company back in 2022. The court found the following year that Trump had been liable for overstating the value of his business assets to obtain favorable loans. Throughout the trial, Trump denied wrongdoing and repeatedly referred to the case as a witch hunt. Following a ruling ordering Trump to pay $500 million, James said, "Today we prove that no one is above the law, no matter how rich, powerful, or politically connected you are." But Trump appealed against that ruling, and in August 2025, the court threw out the $500 million penalty against him, which the president called a total victory. So Attorney General Letitia James went after him on a civil fraud case, won a $500 million judgment. Then the court decided to throw that $500 million judgment out at a later date. However, the same court upheld Trump's fraud liability and did not throw out the non-financial penalties. James' office said it would appeal against the overturned penalty. When did the feud between Trump and Attorney General Letitia James begin, or New York U.S. Attorney General Letitia James' feud began with Trump? Public scuffles between Trump and James stretch back to the 2018 contest for New York's Attorney General, which happened during Trump's first term in the White House. So she was going after him and picking at the bull, so to speak, during her campaign for running for the New York U.S. Attorney General's position. During her campaign to become the state's top law enforcement officer, James called Trump an illegitimate president. Trump was even mentioned during her victory speech on election night. He, who she's talking about, Trump, should know that we are here in New York, and I in particular. We are not scared of you, she told cheering supporters. So she wanted to pick this fight with Trump. James also mocked Trump's 1987 best-selling self-help book when describing his alleged fraud, claiming that you have money that you do not have does not amount to the art of the deal, she said, referring to the book's title. She said it is the art of the steal. The pair have sparred off on social media for years, and Trump has responded to his opponent with innumerable amounts of name calling. So she goes after Trump for bank fraud, for filing illegal documents to financial institutions, and those charges. There was a civil case a few years ago. Trump lost. Then it got appealed. Trump won. The $500 million judgment was dropped. And now he becomes president again. And guess what? His administration goes after Attorney General, New York State U.S. Attorney General Letitia James for the same allegations. She is being charged for the same things that she went after Trump. Look at the dichotomy and the hypocrisy in that. She's in a little bit of trouble, and we'll have to see how this plays out.